Hi, stream.
Whoa, stream.
Upstream, we weren't talking about anything.
We're talking about playing D&D.
Yes, we
Yeah,
were. And nothing else.
Yeah. So, diving back in, picking up where we left off. The party reunited back in Glairdan. You completed your mission for Captain Schmidt-Torn. Suji, you made some fantastic armor for a little Tressum.
Yes.
Seven, you picked up a suit and
Did.
look to die for. But you were able to gather together. The armor was tried on. Revi tested and realized that there's still one fatal flaw to his plan, but he's moving in the right direction.
Mhm.
A date was postponed indefinitely, I suppose. But Vinteth, you made your way slightly outside of town to Death's Embrace Monastery,
That I did.
where you were approached by a similarly looking, ashen-skinned elf gentleman, Roy Del Rey, brother Roy Del Rey, the one of the caretakers of this particular monastery, a fellow Shatterkai elf, um, who gave you a tour, showed you around, talked a little bit about what the order is, the Order of Death's Embrace is about, and talking about reinforcing the original teachings and the original concepts of the mother have been around since those times, and that was about it. The rest of you, after finishing up at Way Schmelted and Dealt It, made your way to the Bleeding Heart of Soren Lin, where you assume Vinteth would have to be, because where else would he go without telling anybody his location?
Mhm. Obvious.
Upon the elf gentleman, Revi, Suji, and Valir making your way inside, asking Zaishori and Seven politely to wait outside, as you were not sure how much information you would get, gauging from your previous conversation with Tress. Made your way inside, looking for Vinteth, realized that he was not here. Sent him a quick message, told him you were here, and he asked you to ask the questions, get whatever information you can. He is in the middle of something, but he would be in touch soon. So, picking back up, let's start with Revi, Suji, Valir. Three of you are currently standing inside. Suji, for the first time, you followed your companions into this, again, very small stone building. You make your way inside, and there's these 5 pools of just dark looking liquid on the ground, and you get that very strong scent of like iron in the air. But you watch as Revi approaches, female elf. It hard to tell with elves, but definitely looks like she's in her later years. Clothes are pristine, nicely kept, and you see Revi go up and talk to her. But this is your first time here.
I'm kind of just thinking to myself, why am I in that church of elves? But I guess I just kind of look around. I'm not really looking for anything specific, just trying to like. We'll specifically say I try to look for Vinta.
Okay.
Should do a perception roll
Make
or
make an
investigation.
investigation.
So normally.
Okay. Yeah, taking a look around, you don't. There's not a lot of people here. It's just this one woman that Revi approached, and these 5 like pools essentially. Also, give me a religion check with advantage. Noted.
Noted.
But yeah, Revi, you complete sending the Vinteth and you get his response back. But you, Valir, and Suji are here with us.
Tress or Tess? I'm sorry.
It is Tress, TRE.
Hello again, Tress. It's good to see you.
You all as well. Welcome back. Hope your travels went okay.
Yes, problem-free for the most part. So, I have a question for you before we jump into anything else. Do you, for lack of a better word, do you report to anyone? Are you? I mean, you are the head of this church. This is the first, but is it the main one of Soren Lin?
I mean, I am the head of this church, yes, and there's not a main one per se. I don't report to anybody other than the mother herself, I suppose. No, there's no I guess higher official. It's mostly just based on church.
I have some sensitive things to ask you, Tress, and while I mean absolutely no offense by this, I have to be sure this information does not go anywhere. I reach into my pocket and I will pull out the blood quill. It's like, you know vastly more than we do at this point, but I believe we could tell you a couple of things about this world that may shock you. And as someone who has experienced as much as you have, I would love to hear your perspective. But, and I gesture towards the pen again, I need to be sure that those conversations are just between us.
Give me a persuasion check.
Sorry, I didn't have my sheet up.
No worries. In the DM weight, that's a +5 to the DC.
Well, I will. I'm gonna give that one a nice little shift. My computer is being really slow. Well, so much for that.
Jeez.
Chess looks at you. Give me and the all three of you can give me an insight check. That would be Valir, Suji, and Revi.
Kind of check.
Insight.
Suji.
No, we are terrible.
Yep.
Starting out hot tonight.
Oh yeah. You know it, baby.
Okay. You see she looks at you, and it's not that she obviously she understands what you're saying, and kind of is giving off a understanding, but also she is guarded in her own right. She's just met you all, and yeah, that's about as much as the three of you would, especially. I mean, that's as much as Suji and Valir, you guys would be able to kind of. She's guarded herself, and this conversation, um, while tense and uncomfortable, is going to be because of just the context of it.
Yeah.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I can give you my word of I will tell you what I can tell you what I know and what I'm comfortable sharing, but please also understand that while I am trusting to a fault sometimes, I have also just met you all, and I won't be entering into any written contract over conversation at the moment.
Fair enough then. Let me see if I can be a bit more general. What can you tell us of Tor?
Sadly, not much is known about the Mad God. Out of the pantheon, he is. They are considered, I suppose, the black sheep, the one that doesn't quite fit the mold. Some question whether or not he is as much a god as he is a force of nature, a calamity. There's old stories of villages and towns being visited by the madness of Tor, and perfectly nice, mundane, happy villages that then one day are just going about their normal business, and the next, all the townspeople are murdering each other and hanging entrails from the trees and self-inflicted wounds. It's
He he's he's causing madness.
amongst other things, yes.
For what purpose? To what end? Is it simply for the chaos?
I think sometimes if madness were to have a purpose, you start to bridge the gap of not being madness.
Oh.
Rosal.
And would you speculate as to this purpose?
Again, from what we know, there is no purpose. He comes abruptly. His fits, his worshippers that are seeking something yet nothing at the same time. Again, for the most part, he's not. Those that are mad enough to worship him don't tend to have grand manifestos of why they're doing what it is that they are doing. They are simply doing to do.
What if there were followers of Tor who were not doing simply to do, but with calculated purpose. You're muted, or I can't hear you, Rochi.
Hello?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose those might be some of the most dangerous individuals you would have the displeasure of coming across.
I would agree with you there. And let's say these followers of Tor were trying to open a gateway to bring something from another plane to this plane. Does that sound like anything you've heard of before? Something very powerful, something that would require a great deal of resources to fuel powerful summoning spell ritual.
She thinks on this for a minute or so. While it is certainly possible, it's nothing that I or any of my mother or priests that I have spoken to have come across. At least not that I've not done extensive research into Tor, but I feel many have not, as some say that is the slippery slope that leads one to worship. To understand the madness of the mad god understandably can drive one mad.
Mm. What if these worshippers were decidedly not mad? And in fact, had a specific directed purpose, such as revealing the truths of history that may have been hidden from us. You said yourself, Tress, your mother lacks memory from the very beginning for whatever reason. The more we continue forward on this path, the more it is revealed to us that what we are told in the history books may not be completely accurate.
Is certainly something to prey upon.
You're silent again.
What? Oh.
Hello?
Yep.
The last thing we heard was prey upon.
Okay. Certainly something to prey upon. I don't have answers to those questions. I have my own resources. I have some wells I can tap into.
Do you receive different visions each time? I mean, I I realized Vinteth. Vinteth, I mean, explain to us what he saw. Would he receive a similar vision if he went in again into the same pool? Would it be different?
It
What is
varies.
the nature
From,
of this?
it varies from person to person. Sometimes the pools are just a quiet place to feel more connected to the mother for some. For others, they get small insight or foresight into something that has happened or something that could happen. Uh, the pools themselves do matter, depending on which pool you enter and what type of what is forefront on your mind and what you are seeking and praying for guidance on does kind of dictate which pool one would want to enter. Kind of points at them. Those looking for answers of fate or the present, the past, the possibility of what is to come, the pool of Bellamy.
Mm.
Usually the best bet. For guidance of feeling not so much lost, but feeling alone, or if you're feeling uh, preying upon what is to come in a sense of you know where you are traveling to and the path your life is headed to some degree. Bouts of nature or things like of that thought. She points over to the point of Vindala.
Mm.
For structure, for building upon something or creating something new, or the general sometimes is something as on the nose as the construction of something. Um, she points over to the pool of Hondrick.
Mm.
She is saying the names out loud. So, Suji,
Yep.
you have heard her now say the pool of Vindala and Hondrick of Bellamy.
Did you hear his Hondrick and like what?
In matters of sorrow, pain, atonement, of looking for reconciliation, the pool of Orgath.
Mm.
What was that about Hondrick?
I'm sorry? Oh, hello.
Yeah, hey, you said Hondrick. Like, what about him?
I'm sorry. I didn't think we have met. Hello. I'm. God damn it. I love Suji so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Priestess Tress Forel. It is a pleasure to meet you. She kind of like gestures to you, the one person she's not met before.
I say hi. Go hi, and I'm Suji's just kind of like waiting for a response.
Oh yes. As explained to your friends before, this is the Church of Soren Lin that I caretake. And she'll explain to you about the five pools and how they correspond to the five other creation deities that created different races. And she points to the pool of Hondrick and talks about dwarves, Vindala talking about the beast folk, Orgath talking about the greenskins, Bellamy talking about halflings, and the point of pool of Zaffi, which was the last pool she hadn't gotten to yet, which is the creator of gnomes.
And what about the guidance of Zaffi?
It's one of the harder pools to draw upon, as it is the guidance of seeking secrets,
Mm.
things that don't belong to one. Things that are seen there can be arguably the most powerful, but yet the hardest to attain. Well, the god of secrets does like to keep her secrets.
I'm sure. Now, if I may ask, Tress, why is there no pool? Why is there no pool of tieflings?
I suppose it is easiest to say that tieflings, by the way we understand them, were not made in the traditions. They were not created by the touch of a god, Rowan or Sorenlin, any of the others. Their lineage comes from something.
Is it something else? So, what or who created them?
Well, it's still that I'm sure is still up for debate. As again, there's not many of them that I've only in my life come across and cross path with a few. Stories, the working theories. There are, as much as there are gods and angels, and there are devils and demons that do exist in other planes, and sometimes they have one way or another found their way here, and tieflings are in some way their lineage was corrupted, infused with some of this demonic energy or this devilish energy or power or blood. Sometimes again, I can only theorize and what I've researched and been told, but sometimes in the literal sense, sometimes in the figurative sense, is the blood descendants of a humanoid race mixed with a devil or a demon. Sometimes it is a curse or power bestowed upon a family in exchange for whatever you're willing to sell part of your bloodline for, I suppose.
I see.
Yes,
Your
the
your
pools. Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was going to say your mother was here since the beginning. While I can't ascertain the reliability of the source, we were told by someone with no real reason to lie about this that tieflings used to be abundant, roam the land, so to speak. As you and I both well know, very few of them. Do you have any idea what happened to them?
I wish I did, but I can't say that I do.
Can I tell if that answer was truthful?
Give me an insight check. Really, she seems on the up and up. Like she seems like she has no reason to lie.
So, I'm gonna kind of look towards Valir and Suji and just say, "Look, I've been talking her ear off. If you have something to ask," I kind of look back towards Tress and I just say, "If I may, I must say, after what Vinteth witnessed, this whole idea of the pools, I am intrigued. Is anyone of elven lineage allowed to go in, or must we be devout followers of the mother?"
The mother does not turn away any of her children.
Hmm.
If you would like to take a moment to say a silent prayer and enter a pool, you are, of course, more than welcome. She kind of gestures to them.
So what's the pools do though?
Oh
Gosh.
I will look and I will glare at Suji, and then I will look back. Thank you, Tress. I need a moment to. Maybe a stupid question, but is there a limit? Frankly, I was intrigued by several of your descriptions.
Um, for the non-devout and someone who, for people who aren't used to keeping up with any of the traditions, I wouldn't recommend going to more than one on a given day.
Hmm.
Myself personally, as part of my daily routine, I go into all five. But again, that is after years of preparation, cycling, and even someone such as Vinteth, who is a devout follower, and I didn't recommend him entering a second pool, especially after his abrupt exit from the first.
I see.
And again, not everyone sees something or gets a direct response. Sometimes it is just a quiet place to feel a slight connection to where we came from.
Well, sorry. I kind of look back towards this time just Valir. Suji pissed me off. Sorry, just before I forget to ask this once again. I turn back to Tress and just say, last thing, at least in my mind. Have you ever heard? Your mother was enlisted into the service of the mother. It sounds as if she did not have a choice. She was conscripted, so to speak. Is that an accurate assessment?
How my mother used to tell it was she was handpicked. She was chosen.
Mm.
But she had a choice, just as
She did.
we all did, of course.
Have you ever heard of any gods, goddesses who would enlist a follower without giving them a choice, compelling them into some unknown form of service?
Directly, no. Do I think it is very possible? Of course. They are powerful beings, and imposing their will on others and showing their power is not above them. They are not, we do not have any question or qualm, at least in my teachings in my church, that the gods are not all good. And that's not saying that there are good gods and bad gods. It is every god is a shade of gray. They have their good traits, their bad traits. Their domains are so broad, and that is partially to the point of people can worship them for the right and wrong reason.
Mhm.
And to them, it is just worship.
I see. Do you know anything about the, let's call them shades of gray, of Walken?
I am somewhat familiar. Of course, we live here in a port town, so understanding the seas and those that worship her as the goddess of the sea and travel and storms, and those that, again, open for interpretation. Those that pray to her to prevent being lost, those that pray to her when they feel lost. Um, you'll see those sailors that will pray to her for calm seas, keep the storm at bay.
You should tell those sailors that that doesn't work.
She chuckles a little bit, just understandingly. But yes, you also have the not so good apples that pray for the storm, pray for the destruction, the wrath that it brings.
All this prayer to her. Maybe there are some that pray for nothing, none of the above. I suppose a lack of answers is as good a way to be a goddess of the lost as any other. Well, I'm going to make a decision, and I just kind of look back towards Valir and Suji. And by all means, I'm sure I didn't ask everything. I'll just kind of start walking, and I basically you're just going to see me staring at a couple of the pools, looking back and forth between Bellamy, Vindala,
Hmm.
and Zafi, trying to decide.
I look over and say, you mentioned that Tor, he brings madness to everybody, and when he visits town or his presence is in town, people tend to massacre each other and go crazy. Have you heard of anything recently happening to towns similar to like what Tor brings?
Can't say I've heard anything recently. Well, I suppose I should rephrase that. The most recent thing I've heard about something that sounded similar to something of the stories of old would be what your friend Vinteth told me about what happened in Morat.
Oh yeah, he did say that, didn't he? He talked about Morant.
See,
But that, honestly, the stories of Tor are from, centuries ago, before the gods were contained, sequestered themselves away in their own planes. That is when, stories from my mother when the gods were still here on the material plane itself, and when Tor used to physically enter a town, he never left it better than he got there.
I see. And speaking of the the gods, the old great ones, come to mind. When we were traveling over here, um, I had a vision happen to me one night or during the day, I forget, but four very towering figures. I couldn't see their face, but I just know, I just felt it, that it was the great old ones. I felt their elemental presence near me. It's, if I were to step into one of these wells, try to figure out what that vision meant, which one would you recommend for me to step in?
She thinks for a moment. Well, I suppose that is. I would say that would probably be dependent on the information you are seeking. She looks over at the pool of Bellamy. If you are looking for an answer in how their presence and their showing themselves to you might affect you personally, Pool of Bellamy might give you answers to a bit of your fate, and if it is in fact entwined to the great old ones, that's certainly a possibility. Pool of Vendala, the elemental lords themselves are as much tied into the path of nature as the goddess herself. There could be a connection there. Or if you're looking to see something that is not meant to be seen, point to the pool of Zaffi.
Okay.
At this point, you see Ravi stepping into the pool of Bellamy.
Well, it looks like that particular pool is occupied at the moment.
Wait, which one did you get into?
Bellamy.
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 Okay. Also, I do have a question for someone I know. What can you tell me about Rugbar?
Yes.
They had one good shopping trip for clothes, and now Valier is the best boy.
Hey, man. I grew a soft spot for 7, okay? Nobody else knows that.
I
But
said for
Suji would
seven.
if he's paying attention. But
No,
that's
he
you know.
is not.
Yeah, Suji is still grappling with the 100 name
Suji is
being.
I'm
borderline,
surprised he hasn't jumped in yet. I thought he was
Suji is
going straight for
borderline,
100.
like dipping his toes in and just waiting.
Andric? Andric, are you there?
You know, you can just enter. It is okay. You can just. It doesn't get any warmer, I assure you. It is just going to be ice cold the entire time.
Okay, but like, so let me just get it straight. Like, I go in here because basically I need to talk to Hendrik. I made this armor as I point over to Tinker. Fly Tresman armor. And yeah, he probably already saw it already. Like, he kind of like was stalking me before I ever even met him the last time. But yeah, I just want to talk to him about the armor, see if he thinks I did a good job and everything. So I guess I'll just go in there now.
Oh, he wants Dad's approval.
Yeah.
That's
I was
okay.
gonna go with that, but I was like, in character, should I be calling him Pop Pop?
Do you enter the pool, Sushi?
Yes, with all my armor and shit on.
Okay. Um, you see, Tress is like thinking about the answer to Valir's question while also just like processing what's the slew of sentence that Suji just said.
Yeah, some casual dropping of one of
Talked to
them.
me already. Probably knows I made this armor for a cat.
But hey, I'm gonna go jump in your sacred pool to talk to him real quick. It's like
You mentioned it, and she came right up. She knew Chris.
right. I will process that in a second. You said Rugbarg, yes. All the religion checks tonight. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
The God of Giants is not my particular area of expertise. However, of course, I am familiar with his story and the plight of giants, and um, he is the god king of the giant folk, keeper of history. He is a very important link of the cycle of life. Um, you know, the stories of fate, the library that the books that Bellamy watches over, and each person has their own, their own book, their own story that is their history, is events that have already happened and are happening, that rates from the day they were born to the day that they leave this world. Um, and as their soul is ferried by the mother, their story is recorded to history. It's at that time that the book of their fate is then the book of their history. It is received by Lux Forna, the goddess of change, the goddess of time, and is transported to the library of Rugbok, the history of the world, the history of people, the history of everything.
So he's pretty much the keeper of history and all knowledge, pretty much. Is that what you're trying to say?
He is, and he has, as far as I know, always been, or at least the giants have always been. Rudbarg is not the first king of the giants, but he has been the king of the giants for at least the last, as far back as dated history, as funny as it sounds. But Rugbarg and the giants, much like Istrophael and the dragons, were here before Crowan. They were part of this world. They were here before the siblings arrived. They were, in their own right, part of the chaos and constant war that this world faced before Crowan and Sorenlin came and help settle things and help push the great old ones back to their planes before Soren Lin and Crowan helped birth the other demigods and the other gods of different domains. Rutbarg was here, and the giants were here. And when all the other gods finally pushed themselves to their own planes, Rutbarg decided that the history of the world was too important. And that is when he and the giants too pushed off to their own. Hard to say. Some say realm, some say plane, some say that they hidden themselves in plain sight somewhere in the world, but it's been true that we have not seen giant kin for hundreds of years. We see some mixed giant races. You see Goliaths still and Furbolgs, things of that nature, but no one's seen a true giant in almost as long as we haven't seen a true dragon.
See,
Wait, so dragons are that rare in this world? Sorry, just a random question to the DM.
Only we knew. Cool.
Dragons and giants have not been seen in a true form since right around the second Grand Cup.
So what you're saying is we have some questions for Mr. Ferdinand Clay.
But yeah, that is my, at least my active knowledge of the topic of Rudbarg. Again, not my particular area of expertise, but because he and what he keeps sacred is so honestly tied to the cycle of life and death. It is something that a priestess of Soren Lin should at least be familiar with.
understood. The information was it was good. It's more than I expected to get. In my head, I'm just trying to panic. Like, how the heck do I explain this to Seven?
Puppet show.
Puppet show.
Puppet show sounds good.
I think Seven would appreciate a good puppet show.
Mhm.
Probably.
So at this Valir, as you are finishing up your conversation, or right around when you were starting your conversation, Revi, Suji, you both start making your way into these pools. Again, as Tress has said, ice cold, absolutely freezing.
Loving it.
But you start to, again, there's a small staircase that kind of leads in, and you get to the bottom, and you're about a little, like maybe about belly button high. You're both about roughly the same height, so yeah, you're about belly button high, and you're just kind of standing in the pool. Revi, you obviously saw Vinteth emerge from one of these.
Sure
So
did.
it's up to you what the two of you would like to do. You're currently like a little above waist deep in Suji. What you are now quickly realizing is blood. It is not hard from this vantage point to see that.
And does it smell?
It does, but give me a nature check, or nature or medicine, and Revi, you can too, as you're now waist deep in it, as it were.
Nature or medicine. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go. Is that our first roll above a 15 all day? Jesus.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like a 12 all day.
It's been a rough day.
I think you almost just doubled the highest from roll for the day.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah, great. Okay, this is not a hard check except for you, Suji. You take the smell. It is the smell of blood. But for it to be, it's not the smell of coagulated blood or like, stale, like old. It's constantly that fresh smell of like, heavy iron, um, almost a Suji, your pool has kind of almost a touch of like sulfur to it. Like it's kind of like just a little bit of that, like, mustardy, like similar to the forge, similar to just scrap metal, going through it. Um, Revi, your pool is sweet smelling
Okay.
to a degree. Again, it's the smell of blood. It's the smell of like an iron, but it almost has that twinge of like sweetness to it.
Interesting. So you're asking what we're doing in there?
Yeah, you're currently waist deep. It's up to you whether you would like to.
I saw Vintess submerge, right?
You saw Vinteth emerge.
Oh, okay.
Obviously had to assume he was below it to.
Yeah, yeah.
Bully.
Okay. I'll submerge.
Yep.
And I'll begin some thought. I don't know if I'll call it prayer, but some thought. Because it's still, these pools are still, you're still praying to the mother, right? Even though there's the pool of Bellamy, it's not a prayer to Bellamy. It's to the mother.
Yeah, Suji doesn't understand that. He's praying to.
Okay. All right. So then I'll speak more generally. Every step of this journey, we just have more questions. Someone, something, literally stepped out of time to save my life. I've been thrust into a goddess's service for unknown purposes. Followers of Tor trying to open a gateway. Something is happening with the elementals. What? What am I fated for? Why was my life worth saving in the first place? I'll just kind of think myself.
First question: Are you holding your breath? Did you take a breath and then submerge?
Initially, I'll say yes, because I don't think Vinteth told us how any of this worked.
Of course not.
If I do not receive any sort of answer or vision or whatever, I'm gonna try to fight through that and stay down in the pool.
Suji, you saw Revi take a breath and just kind of slowly let himself submerge beneath the pool.
And what's it called? Valir's still like outside debating, right?
Yeah, at this point, Valir is still in like mid conversation with Tress, so the two of them are standing there.
I kind of look at that and I kind of look over at Valir, but he seems distracted, and I'm just like, guess he's I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna just be a little safe, and I'm gonna cast water breathing on
Oh
me
my
and Valir.
god. Oh my god.
Okay. All right. Cool. You cast water breathing on yourself and Valir.
I'm still gonna like, what's it called? Breathe in some water, like take an initial breath because I don't really want to breathe in blood. Suji's like, that's kind of gross. But let's see how this goes.
So you're just gonna take a and
Take
then
a quick breath and just go in.
okay, cool. So you take a deep
Um,
breath, you drop in.
And just as a little prayer, and I'm trying to pray towards Andrik. I'm just like, hey, I did something really cool. I want to show you. That's about it. I hope you've been doing good. See you soon, maybe. Just go in there.
So can both of you give me religion checks?
Yep.
Cool. That tracks.
We're not bad.
So two of you stay down there for some time, letting your consciousness float out and having these thoughts. Valir, is there any other part of that conversation you want to have as you're talking to Tress?
He's in the bathroom. He'll be back in like a second.
Fine. Meanwhile, outside, Daishori, 7. What are you
Man.
guys doing?
Just mad that I still can't go in the church and I haven't even done anything to it.
It's okay, 7. It's an elf thing.
Why?
Honestly, I don't know. Racism.
Damn racisms. Won't let me go in places and people look at me weird.
It's okay. Someday we'll go somewhere where they can't go. No elves
Yeah.
allowed.
That sounds fun. I want to do it.
Make it happen. We just have to find a place. But it's gonna happen for sure.
Yeah. But how soon?
Oof. I don't know. We pray for it.
Lucky.
I do wonder what they're talking about in there, what information they're receiving.
Oh. Hopefully they're asking the good questions.
I also hope they're asking the good questions.
Fun about you. Something fun about me. My God. Oh. I can't believe Rootbarg made me feel a thing. I don't know if I like it.
Oh, you don't know if you like it?
Wasn't bad, but I don't know if it describe it as the best feeling. It's not like emerging victorious in battle, but there's something akin to it.
Well, it takes some time. Let's keep praying. Hopefully the feeling feels a little bit more welcoming.
Right. She said that I'm gonna try. The pray. I want to ask Rootbarg about that feeling. If there is any more history, if there is anything else to me, or am I just what I am?
Maybe he'll know. Maybe he won't know.
I was praying.
Oops.
Seven, you start praying. You don't get anything immediate, no response. But Saishori, can you give me a perception check?
Yes. Oopsie.
All right, use the first one. Um, as Seven is praying and he's talking about this idea of this feeling that he had, this connection that is something that Broodbar gave him that he's not sure if he likes it or not. As you see him kind of sit there and pray in the way that Seven has been grown accustomed to praying, hanging out with all of you religious types. For as peaceful as a robot can look, Automaton, there is a certain serenity to just the attempt, to seeing him in this moment. And as you kind of look upon him and have this nice moment with your friend, you swear you hear a soft, you think it's the wind at first, but soft playing of a flute on the air.
Oh. Is it coming from a certain direction, or do I just like hear it in the air?
With the check, it seems to be in the air. It doesn't draw you any particular way, but you having
Okay.
for it is the only way you distinguish it between like the sound of wind, like pushing through an alleyway. And this is definitively you could pick it out. Like, oh, that's the
Mm-hmm.
soft playing of a flute.
Okay, I'm gonna think to myself, this is a really good thing for Seven, and I'm going to say a quick prayer to communicate with Zena and see if this is a sign from her. If she can give me any confirmation of it.
Okay. Give me a religion check. As you focus in on that, the faint flute in the air, this picture of your friend reaching out, and you focus on just, is this a sign? Is this something? You swear that flute just starts to pitch in a way that it's it's starting to like move and actually play notes instead of just being like kind of that subtle like one note blow. Now it's like an actual like beginning of a song almost. Like you start to hear a few notes kind of flutter on the wind.
Beautiful. I feel good and more confident in myself and the direction that we're all heading in now. I kind of just look to Seven. This is a good thing. It's a good thing.
What's a good thing?
You're a good thing, Seven.
So sweet.
Yeah. 7 is now flushes like, oh, I've been compliment for anything other than doing well in battle before. Thank you. You're a good thing too. I'm gonna gently pat her head as he like the
Thank
most
you.
delicate 7 has ever tried to been because he does not want to hurt his friend.
Thank you. I'm surprised at the affection I'm receiving from Seven. I feel like I should be the one petting you.
Yes. Oh man. Wait. Should we? Do you want to go back to Lenny's? I think I want those boots for my suit.
Should we wait till they come out? They don't know where we're going.
We can leave them a message. Seth is gonna start just scrawling into the ground with his shovel. Going to get boots from Lenny.
Okay, I guess that works.
Okay.
DM, is the wind blowing right now? Is there heavy traffic?
I'm going deep. It's gonna be a big thing.
I mean, the wind is blowing. It's not super hard.
Yeah, Seven, let's go.
All right.
Cool. So the two of you, after some quiet prayer and contemplation, realizing that those elves can talk a really long time, decide to make your way back to Lenny's Absurdities to go pick up some boots.
Hey.
So yeah, if you have the goal for it, I believe Bryce is still in Thursday chat. I don't need to play out buying the boots from Lenny. He still has them. It's only been a couple days.
All right.
So yeah, you can go ahead and
Yeah, I'm just
mark
trying to find
those
them.
off. And
I do not see the boots listed.
I'll get them for you.
All right.
As a elven kind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Cool.
All right.
Meanwhile, back inside. um, Revy, it's been honest
Listen.
question. What's your con modifier?
That's a good question. Plus 2, I think. 2. Yep. 2.
Okay. So been about 2 minutes or so. You are rapidly approaching kind of like that the extent of how long you can hold your breath. You're starting to get a little bit of that, like, fight or flight, like burning sensation in your chest. Like you either need to take a breath or this is gonna get bad.
If I haven't gotten answers by this point, I'm gonna try to embrace it. I'm gonna try to push through it and breathe.
Taking a moment, you open your mouth and you allow this, viscous, thick blood to enter your mouth, and it is a odd sensation. But again, similar to Vinteth, you have had the experience of breathing water recently, so it's like that, only thicker, actually.
Got it.
But you feel, you struggle for, like, your brain instinctually like struggles for that, like, oh my god, what am I doing? I'm drowning. I'm going to die. And eventually your body kind of like settles in, take a breath. It is
I
funny
will-
that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say if I haven't heard anything at this point, once I'm calmed down, I'm gonna kind of run through a similar sequence of thought that I did when I first got in.
Okay. So it's strange because like the sensation was the same, but then it's very different. You let that first breath in, and you let the blood kind of fill your mouth and your lungs. And unlike when you were using water breathing and you were still like breathing in and out, and the water was kind of like still cycling through your system, you don't get the sense that you need to, and your body isn't like instinctually doing that. Like you took that initial and now you feel like you don't have to breathe. Like your body no longer instinctually does so. It's just full of whatever this liquid is, and that's just sustaining you. As you reconnect and you kind of still put that thought almost on repeat in your head, you're just kind of not quite going through the motions. You're taking what you know. You are a studied man who has learned much in the way of your time at a church with Lux Forna and, the moments you've spent even with Vinteth and Suji and Saishori and even Valir and watching his version of meditation and connection to whatever something bigger is. And as strange as it is, Rugbarg and whatever connection Seven has to it. So you're not unfamiliar. As you think of these moments, these things that have happened to you, what they mean, what needs to happen, what is supposed to happen, what could happen. You're not gifted a vision, you're not gifted sight to something that is to come or something that has been. You are gifted something that is both infuriating but reassuring to Revi.
Mm-hmm.
A sense of comfort without explanation.
Oh my god.
That feeling of, that feeling of, is this the right path? I guess it's the right path, but is it the right path because something says it's the right path? Or is it the right path because this is the path I've chosen to take?
Yeah.
Comforting, but at the same time, it's not a fucking answer that you can put, scientific method to and be like, nope, this is the right answer because of X, Y, and Z. And that infuriates you as much as it's like,
Do I sense that this presence is coming from Bellamy, or is this coming from the mother, or do I just not have no sense? It's just more of a general sense of comfort. No indicator there.
with your check, it doesn't feel like it has a source, or it just rephrase. It feels like it has a source, but you cannot delineate which it's coming from.
Got it. Okay. All right. I will linger on that for a couple of minutes. Nothing too crazy. And if I don't feel like I'm getting anything else beyond the sense of comfort, eventually I'll step out. But you can play through, obviously, Suji stuff.
Suji, what's your con modifier?
My con. My constitution. One.
Cool. So a minute or so goes by, and you're focusing kind of on that, like, Andrik, I did this cool thing. Like, I want to show you. Like,
Hey, where are you? Where are you?
where you at? Like, you up?
Yeah. Yeah. Pull
You
up.
up.
Start to get that feeling of like, You start to get that like burning sensation in your chest as while you have the breathe water spell on, you're not breathing water currently. You're still holding a breath that you initially took.
Mhm.
You have a you're quickly approaching your supply of air that you
Yeah.
have taken.
I just kind of think, and I'm like, kind of gross, but definitely not the nastiest thing I've ever done. And I just kind of like let out the air and slowly intake some of the blood,
Okay.
controlling the
Uh,
breathing.
okay. So yeah, so you exhale, prepare yourself for the gross feeling of breathing in. You take in like a mouthful of blood and slowly like that. Again, you're fighting your natural instinct of swallowing versus breathing.
Mhm.
And you're like, your brain's like, this is not air. I should swallow this, not inhale. Um,
Mhm.
but as you start to kind of like get past that mental block and you take a breath and you start to feel your lungs fill up with that heavy, thick, gooey blood. Um, you feel your physical like self and as much as like your consciousness is thrusted to the surface, like you are forced out of this pool. You shoot out your head just into the open air. There's kind of like the blood. What's your passive perception? And Valir, what's yours?
Uh, passive perception.
Yeah.
15.
15.
Oh, 22.
Cool. So yeah, Valir, towards the end of your conversation, it's been a couple minutes now. You just see Suji like just shoot out of this pool of blood. He starts like coughing up. You see blood is like coming out of his mouth, but um, with a 15 even Suji, notice that as you kind of compose yourself, the blood that you coughed up, you know, like the blood that came up when you splashed out, essentially, doesn't leave the rim of the pool. Like it never leaves that like cylindrical part of the pool. Like it never splash on the concrete around it. It either doesn't quite dissipate, but it kind of like forms back into the pool itself. But Suji, you are emerged.
I'm out of the pool, or like I'm still in it, but my
You're
head's
still
above.
standing. Yeah, you're standing in it. You're back to like
Mm.
waist deep. But even then, what you notice after you kind of compose yourself is the blood that you would assume would like stain your clothes or be like clinging to your armor
Yeah.
has almost just kind of like sheeted off of you back into the pool. You're pristine. Like it's not clinging. It's not staining. Your hair is dry.
The curiosity. I tried to like grab some of it,
Mhm.
like in my hand, like dunk my arm into it and try to pull it towards the outside of the pool.
Yeah, as you pull your hand out, you get some blood on you, and as you start to like approach the edge of like where the pool would end, you see it kind of like drip forcefully back off your arm back into the pool.
Mm.
You okay?
Yeah, it's it's definitely. I can breathe as long as I want, typically underwater, but that's just suffocating almost. Did Ravi come out? I didn't even cast water breathing on him.
No, he appears to still be communing, praying. Something.
Wait, he's still under there. It's been a while. Is he dead?
No, I don't believe so. He should be fine.
Okay, maybe I need the instruction manuals a bit more. How do I use this thing exactly? Because that did not go as well as I hoped. I just feel silly.
I'm sorry. Yes, I forgot. So yeah, usually, typically, one enters the pool, and submerges themselves, and you accept the mother's blood into you, and it'll help you relax, and that's what kind of helps draw the connection between you and her and the prayer. Did you say you cast water breathing?
Yeah.
Ah, yes. It is kind of I suppose like a slight. You're not trusting the mother to, protect you. I'm so sorry. I was wrapped up in conversation. I didn't even notice you cast a spell. Yes, that's usually what you just you take her in, and that's how it is. Um, I would, since you were you know forced out, I would suggest maybe trying again tomorrow if you're still interested. But maybe next time, just trust the process.
Well, I guess I just didn't even know the process. And you see
Again,
Suji kind of
that is
go into a
awesome.
slight praying mode and being like, "Sorry, mother, that I ever doubted you. I did not mean it, and I never did doubt you in the first place."
Give me a persuasion or deception check. I'm not sure which one you're actually trying to do here.
Sarcasm check.
Now I'm rolling. I'm never going to fucking good. Good to God, that's pretty fucking awful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's always another time. Again, you are always welcome here in the Church of the Mother, and you're free to exit the pool at this point if you wish.
Okay, thank you. Also, Valir, I casted that on you too, so if you decide to go on, I guess take that off.
Okay. Well, yes, please take that off. I am interested in going into the pool myself. Can I just take it off, or do you have to?
How does that work canonly? Because you can
Made
like
him
just
break
kind of
concentration.
There is no concentration.
not concentration.
It just lasts.
So there's no way to just stop it.
You can dispel
You
magic.
can
Yeah, I thought so. Like I can like stop the spell from happening.
No, you have to
Okay.
use the spell magic to stop the spell.
Oh, okay.
I like my
Right.
idea better.
I'm like, I think I think you're kind of not going in the pool today, Valir. I guess the pool's closed.
Oh no.
I just face
I
palm.
understood that reference,
so-
unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I will say this.
Hmm.
Suji, you would know. Okay, the affected creature also retains their normal mode of respiration. So it's possible Valir could just not do it.
What do you mean not do it?
Like it says you still retain your normal like way to breathe. Like you can choose not to breathe water.
Oh, okay.
I see. I see.
So I'll basically explain that like, well, typically, even though I don't use water breathing often, you could just like, try to drown, which, yeah.
Yeah,
You
just
could
try to
also-
drown, bro.
And then Suji tries thinking of wording it in a good way and saying, you can accept the mother's embrace completely and you'll be fine. The water breathing won't affect you.
I'm just so sad I'm not there to witness this.
Yeah, I just put my hand up and like in the stop talking.
I just say just try, just listen to the guidance and go for it.
I look over to Trust. I apologize for him. He's mostly well behaved. I sometimes some things go over him and he's just rambling, as you can see, and just does his own thing at times. I apologize. And,
There's no need to apologize. it takes all kinds. I apologize for uh, not explaining more of the process of, the submerging of oneself. I forgot that your friend was not here last time.
I'm sorry.
When Vinteth took the plunge. Um, it is quite okay. It is not an issue.
Well, in that case, I guess it's my turn to get into one of these.
Please.
Which ones were the ones that she recommended again?
For you, she recommended Bellamy, Vindala, or Zaffi. Zaffi is if you're looking for untold secrets or information that is not, something you would have to steal.
Right.
Vindala would be the connection to nature and the fact that the elemental planes are quote closely entwined with, the natural elements of the world. And then Zaffi or Bellamy would be if you were looking for a connection to you, something that's your fated that might intertwine with this, greater, vision or purpose that whatever the great old ones have in mind. It's kind of just how three different ways of looking at the same information
Right.
and what you're trying to ascertain.
I step in the one who was Vindala.
As you approach and start to step into the pool of Vindala, again, that icy, cold, kind of, thick, viscous liquid around your form. It's about this time that Revi, you start to kind of emerge from your cycle.
Yep.
Valir, you get about, again, a little over waist deep into the pool. What would you wish to do?
I just follow suit like the other two did. Just submerge. Well, actually, before that, get into my meditative state and start trying to remember that same vision I had of those four towering presence over me, and trying to feel that same feeling again. And then I submerge.
So I'll ask you, for you specifically, two questions. First question: are you taking a breath of air before you go in, or are you just going?
I'm just going.
Second question: do you have all of your gear on you?
Yes.
Okay. Valir, you submerge yourself, choosing to actively ignore the effects of the breathe water spell that has been cast upon you.
Without my
You
consent.
you take some of the blood into your mouth and start to allow it to fill your lungs. Again, this icy cold feeling kind of past your lips and around your form. You trapped down here in pitch blackness. Eventually, you get that feeling of your lungs are full and then you kind of just, it becomes almost natural. There's not that feeling of a discomfort. You're not struggling to breathe. You're actually not breathing at all. You filled your lungs and now you are in this place, in this presence. And as you kind of sink into this like meditative stance that you are most familiar with, you feel, or more so, what you don't feel is what was the ground beneath you. You are now completely submerged, but the ground you were once standing on or once sitting on in your meditative stance is now gone. You are now just floating, submerged, suspended within this blood pool. What do you wish to do?
I try to, by being submerged, I try to like, you know, I guess you could say kind of like activate my elemental awareness to try to see if I could feel some connection of any sort.
Give me call this a wisdom check with your proficiency.
Oh, sorry. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to click on. That's even worse.
It's the same
Ouch.
roll, so
Yeah.
first one, yeah.
And my proficiency bonus, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it'd be 9 in total.
Cool. It's almost jarring for you, Valir, as you know, being in this town and again being so close to the water and knowing that this place, this town Gliardan, was your intended, or was Schmidt's intended target. You know the ley lines run pretty strong in this area. You know that at least that one powerful one, that was the one that he was meaning to travel on, plus a couple of the other ones that spider out from different points. And you have felt it. It hasn't been as strong as when obviously you're on the symphony itself, but there are some very, noticeable like leiatic energy in this town and around it that you've felt. And this church isn't on a fault line or on a ley line directly, but it's close enough that you still felt the presence as you even entered here or were walking around here. As you push out your consciousness and you start to feel that weightlessness of not being on a solid surface and kind of being suspended in this liquid, and you start to touch into your elemental roots, it jars you that you feel no leiatic.
Interesting.
You feel no presence of being where you were. That's the first thing you notice.
Hmm. Uh, I guess I try to test out if I'm able to feel like I can still manipulate any elements around me.
Um, your passive perception is 22, right? Or 21?
Yes.
Um, as you start to focus on, your internal ability and your abilities to just manipulate the elements even slightly, you don't feel your normal connection to them in this place. But with your passive perception, as you kind of start to grow that little bit of frustrated, this is something that you can do
Mhm.
akin to breathing at this point, and for it not to manifest in the way that you want it to is frustrating. You notice that in this pitch blackness, in this darkness that you are surrounded by, there's a faint light that cuts through, and it's coming from just off your shoulder.
If I'm able to, I am going to look towards that direction and just say hello.
As you turn towards this little faint bit of light, you see sticking off of your back, fighting through the darkness, fighting through the pitch blackness, and honestly, the impossibleness of just this light, showing light as it is enveloped itself completely in the same blood that you are. The faint blue glow as icicles form just around the edge of the crossroads on your back. You see it's that blue swirl that runs the entire length of it is slowly pulsating, and you see just ice shards are starting to kind of coalesce around it.
Um, do Can I tell someone's trying to? Is there's a presence near me at all, causing the blue light, causing my crossroads to react like that?
Give me an insight check.
Dang.
There you go. It's faint, but it's to the best interpretation that your mind can kind of grasp in this moment. It does feel, at least faintly, like some sort of connection is trying to be made.
Um, I guess if I'm able to, I'll try to grab onto my take it off my back at the crossroads and just hold on to it, see if I could feel anything emitting from it.
Yeah, easy enough. You slosh around, you pull the crossroads off your back in that super slow motion that is like moving underwater. um, you can feel the first thing that you get the sense of as you take it off of your back and you're holding it in your hands is this pool was cold and you knew it was cold, but that impossible coldness of the crossroads in your hand right now, you know, cutting, like, to be colder than what you are currently surrounded by and to be comfortable with it is in and of itself a very strong connection to something bigger than you, something bigger than this situation. And you know you are currently also in the pool of a god's blood. So for something to be as powerful or as overtaking as that is in and of itself impressive.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say also with that insight check, you can tell that there is a noticeable struggle between the two.
When you mean struggle, is it like I can feel like they're kind of competing with each other?
In a sense, you can feel that it's a, if two powerful, like, forces, two powerful energies are kind of clashing with each other. And again, the completeness of being surrounded by the pool of the mother's blood and the fact that the crossroads in this same situation is fighting to form this connection with you, to form to even push this much of its power through. There are two conflicting forces that are kind of just like butting heads with each other in the moment in this space.
Okay. Um. Do I through my crossroads? Can I sense if it's like something like, all right, I need to bail and get out of here, or just try to keep calm and push through?
Give me one more insight check, but this one you can do with advantage. You are getting sorry. I need to pick my words on this very carefully. With that insight check, you get the sense that these two forces are not, they are not directly opposed to each other, but in the current place that you are, you have put them in direct opposition to each other.
Interesting.
would say with that check, and as far as like what you're feeling, you get the sense that going down this line of questioning with what you're with how you're with the crossroads going down this line of questioning, the answer you get are not going to come directly. You kind of have to choose one or the other.
And I choose between one or the other. That'll be my crossroads and whatever else I'm
Either
surrounded, right?
yeah, you can either keep going down the path of, asking Soren Lin in the pool of, this line of questioning. But like you cannot keep in trying to kind of force the will of the crossroads and the elemental planes like into this essentially.
Gotcha. Um, am I able to find a way to like calm crossroads or be able to like get it out of my way so I could get some actual answers?
I'd say with that insight you would either have to be in the pool without the crossroads or
Gotcha.
relinquish the crossroads to the pool.
Not my baby. Ah. Well, I tried. Yeah, I understand that. There's nothing else I can do without giving them my crossroads, which I don't feel too comfortable with. So, kind of break out of that meditative state I was to kind of get where I was and slowly come back.
But you accept the situation as it is and have learned, even in failing, you have learned something here, and you are welcome to try again at a later time. But you calm your mind, and much less violently than Suji, you kind of just will yourself to the surface, and eventually you feel as you kind of are this weird, like you're in this endless pool of nothing with no, like, you can't see light breaking the surface, but you start to kind of will yourself and swim almost upward, and then you kind of get to this weird point of you're swimming, but then you feel the ground beneath your feet as you break the surface.
Hmm.
But much like you saw Suji, and as Revi was exiting, you feel and see kind of the whatever blood that was on your face and hair is kind of slowly receding back into the pool. Your skin is dry, your hair is dry, there's no staining. But yeah, you emerge from the pool.
I just look over to Suji and Ravi and just like kind of shake my head and like, well, that was an experience.
Yes, I'm interested to hear yours. Hopefully, a bit more interesting than mine. I felt great comfort which was nice. It was relaxing, but that's about it.
Oh, so you finally met a god, Vinteth? How was she?
What?
That's Robbie you're talking to.
No,
Or
I
did
was
you
saying
mean
to.
Valir?
Oh, Valir, yeah. Same V's.
Yeah,
Valir, so
I
you
do.
finally met a god?
Well, ah, well, I never mentioned this before to you guys, but I did get the sense when we were traveling on the symphony and all that. I I I did get a feeling of the great older ones. I couldn't tell their shape, how they look like, but they were towering over me. But I just felt it was them.
Well,
With that being said, in there, I felt there was a struggle between the pool of Vandala and my crossroad. So I
I see.
couldn't really get much of an answer because it just felt I had to choose between one and the other, and I I fought well with my crossroads. I just couldn't let it go.
well, I can't blame you there. I mean, it's helped you quite a bit, and while I may not understand your connection, it's an obvious connection to the elemental energy on this plane. Um, can you simply go in the pool tomorrow without it, or is it about your connection to the item itself?
I'm not sure. I think well, I would be willing to try it without my crossroads and anything else that might interfere. I'll definitely give it another shot.
Admittedly, with this one pool per day restriction, I wouldn't mind one more day, or at least the morning, here in the city before we leave.
Oh yes, I'm sure with your infinite questions that you have, I'm sure you will love to dive in to another pool.
Well, I wouldn't have as many questions. One of these gods gave us some answers for once.
Yes,
But I guess that would be a bit too easy for us mere mortals, then would.
absolutely.
So wait. So this connection with the great old ones. What you said? You encountered them. What? I I wasn't even aware that was possible. What did they want from?
Well, is can I hear Tess? Is Tess listening?
I was about to ask the question: is this conversation happening in the middle of the church?
I'm trying to be quiet and just keeping it to Robbie. And,
So if he's whispering, I'll whisper.
Okay.
I don't know about Suji, but I'm pretty quiet.
Suji's fine at whispering. He's wise, but not the smart.
um,
I mean, it's
yeah,
also up to you. If you didn't have anything else to talk to Tress about, you could have this conversation on the
Yeah,
go.
outside.
Yeah.
In case she
fair.
has like enhanced hearing or something crazy.
yeah. I
So,
kind of
so as this is starting, I could just turn to Tress. Like Tress, if it's all right with you, I mean, we'd like to come back tomorrow, at least one more day. I think all of us have some things we'd still like to sort out.
Certainly, I'm always here, so just feel free to stop by and do what you need to do.
yes. Thank you for welcoming us here and allowing us to get inside these pools. It's definitely been interesting and experience, and I thank you for that.
It's been a pleasure meeting all of you, and I just think after the conversations from last time with Vinteth, I will be meeting you all probably again soon, talking much.
Correct me if I'm DM. Sorry. Vinteth told us everything from the vision, and we had talked through with her.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything was-
So I'll just look at her and I'll say, Tress, I I may not be a follower, a devout follower of the Mother, but if I can do anything, I won't allow harm to come to this church. There's too much knowledge, history, connection here, and I would never wish to see it lost.
I appreciate it. I will do what's in my power to avoid any potential harm to this place.
As will I. And I'll just kind of nod my head and I'll start heading towards the door.
I hit my gong and I'm like, Voliere, out. And I start heading out.
I just mentioned like, oh, I hope I can be fully embraced by the mother next. Not kind of topping things I've seen Vinteth do in the churches.
Oh, no. Badly, I'm for sure.
But yes, you all say goodbye. The three of you say goodbye to Tress, head outside, and then start the conversation about the Great Old One.
Yeah. And as I'm sure. Oh yeah. Never mind. Zaishuri and Seven aren't here. I was gonna make a comment, but never
Yeah,
mind.
all of you can make a perception check. Actually, no,
Yeah.
Valir, you have a 21%. You go outside and you see a like half like covered in dust, but like chiseled into the ground, like message like went to get boots at Lenny's.
Well,
I,
I guess we can start heading that way while we talk.
yes, yeah, did you know Seven can write?
Maybe Zaishuri helped him.
I don't know, but props to him for leaving the message for us, though.
It
Much
was
appreciated.
Whilst thinking ahead, I do appreciate not having to burn more magic today. Simply
That's-
finding people like damn children.
And he spelled
Yes.
Lenny right with 2 eyes.
Oh gosh.
Yes. So, as you were saying, Valir,
Oh, yes.
what do they want from you?
They didn't necessarily want anything from me. But they spoke to me. Um, they just said like all at once. What did they say? They said, "You done well to release the first. 3 more to go."
To release the DM, would I be able to realize the connection here? Obviously, I as the player do, but
Give me an intelligence check.
okay.
That's a wizard.
Well, all right.
Hey, smart boy.
All right, so I'm gonna proceed.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second. The gate on the island.
Yeah, that I
1 and 3 to go. The other elements. But oh. I'm not sure we should have done that.
I don't know. I didn't even want to think about it. That's why I never brought it up. It came in my head, and I was like, "That's tomorrow's problem."
You're right. Look, Trey Farrell told us he was protecting the gates, and admittedly, I was sold. I believed him. But if things from the other planes come here, I mean, even if the history books aren't completely true, I think assuming danger is reasonable. 3 to
Yeah.
go. They want you to open these gates. Are you compelled to do so? Because my first inclination is to say that sounds like a terrible plan.
Well,
Yeah.
at least in a sense, I guess we did a good thing releasing him, or at least for these old god guys, they like it. That's what you guys are talking about, right? Oh, we just sunk that whole island.
Yeah, it wasn't even. Yeah, yes, Suji. Suji, please, please listen. Who knows if you'll need to know this stuff later? Just please, just try to listen.
Yeah,
Try
I'm
your
listening.
best.
I'm trying to be involved in the conversation.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if what we did was a good or bad thing. It just brings me back to those big Cords Beard summoning whatever you're trying to summon. With like being there, it just felt like something wasn't right. If they would have summoned whatever just summoned, it would have been just hectic. But this, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to feel about this.
if those quartz beards and what they were doing is a sign of entities waiting to emerge from these other realms, then we need to do everything we can to keep them shut. I I feel strange speaking to you about this, Valir. Honestly, you draw your power from the planes, and I
I do.
understood that, the ley lines, but opening them, that could be a step too far. Is that something you want?
Well, not necessarily. I know we need the ley lines here because if they're gone, I feel something bigger is going to happen. But I don't know if releasing one the elemental was a good or bad thing. Like, was it just releasing more strength to the ley line? Was it taken away from it? I'm not quite sure.
Even
What
if that is giving it strength, we can find another way.
what I do know, because of it, my crossroads, and I take it in front of me. The blue side of it started glowing when they were talking to me. It was getting brighter. And it feels like my crossroad kind of felt and knew like what it was happening. And now I have a new ability to freeze things if I need to after I hit somebody with the crossroad. It didn't happen until after released one. It's hard for me to not be like, yes, I want to release all of them because I feel like I might get more powerful.
But yes, Valir, I assure you, I'm quite familiar with the concept of seeking more powerful abilities. But if releasing all of the elemental planes dooms this one, I don't think your new powers and your staff are going to matter much.
Not at all. But I know it's hard to for you to wrap around that I could be stronger than I already am.
Oh yes, just I hard to conceive of such power.
But
Well, why don't we do the smarter thing and whichever two other elementals we want, we release those, let the island sink, whatever, and we just never deal with the fourth one. And then he's really strong.
I look over to I look to Ravi, and that without saying it, but saying it, is this guy being serious right now?
Tinkers, never mention I thought this to you, but that actually might be kind of brilliant.
I mean, it's not opening all the doors. It's just 3 or 4. It's fine.
Suji, no. Let's figure out what's actually happening besides new shiny colors on Valir's staff and powers. And, okay, yes.
Okay,
We get it,
okay,
Valir.
okay. I understand. But I'm just saying, if we ever feel like he needs a little more powerful, it is an option.
maybe Trey Farrell was telling the truth. I mean, look, what is there going to be a guardian of the fire gate? We have at least that inclination. It's down in the volcano, the bullywogs. I mean, we could investigate after
Yeah.
this later, see what we're up against. I doubt many others would be crazy enough to wander down there.
Yeah.
To our
No.
understanding, the broker, while he seeks the gate, does not know where it is. So, for now, I say we take our chances and learn more.
Agreed. Yeah, that's why I tried not to think about it, because I didn't know what to make of it.
You know, Suji, if we found a way to make one of those gates completely inaccessible, maybe we could get Valir 3 of his 4 powers.
Hey, have some like molten, put all the molten stuff over it. We kill. Think about it. If it's the bullywog area, we release whatever this fire, elemental, demon, what have you. Then we use all the combination of the 3 elements. We just seal it all up together forever, and yeah, it'll be good. And think about it. If it was the bullywog area, we sink all the bullywogs into fucking a whole different dimension or whatever's going on, and they're just gone forever. That'll be great.
This really, really pains me to say, but we may not want to genocide the bullywogs. They probably provide disincentive for anyone wandering down there to find the fire gates.
Yeah, try to convince Vincef that.
Well,
So the bullywogs were the good guys. My brain hurts after today. I'm gonna just settle on it. We'll definitely approach that in the future, or if he gets more insight from the pools tomorrow.
indeed. um, no, good.
Well,
So the 3 of you have this conversation quietly on your way through the town over to Lenny's Absurdities, where you run into a Seven and Zaishori exiting. Seven wearing some spiffy new boots.
Mm.
Hey.
As the 5 of you regather. Meanwhile, hey Venteth,
Hello.
I think you have some questions.
I have a lot of questions that slipped my mind in the reoccurring theme of who the fuck is the grandfather.
It was pretty important.
Remind me, DM,
Yes.
what we had already spoken about with Rory.
Sure. So yes, Rory gave you a little bit of the rundown of, brief history of his order, the Order of the Death's Embrace, that the people like him and yourself, the Shatter Kai, were the first, kind of followers of the old ways, the original teachings of Soren Lin. You saw that the iconography in the church actually even didn't include the hands in this as part of the holy symbol, the humanoid, kind of connection to people. It was mostly just this connection to Vendala, this twirling of vines and thorns, and the drops of blood. That they are an order dedicated to, gathering of information and preparing for, while they're not sure of what, a time of future, turmoil or conflict, the returning of something.
All right, what was the last thing I said to Rory? I believe like they were setting up lunch.
Yeah, some of the other monks had shown up and were setting up tables and doing chores. Um, it was just you and Rory having a conversation while like 10 other, brothers were doing their just kind of daily activities.
Gotcha.
And I believe you said you had questions, and I don't remember what your first question. So feel free to just ask questions in the manic way that Vinteth asks questions.
All right, brother. Let's start with the easy ones. I assume you saw me blast that training dummy outside.
I did.
Does everybody here have that power? I'll just gesture around the room.
No, not everybody is completely trained in the ways of. I mean, everyone is trained for combat, but only those that are more seasoned or practiced in the way of channeling their, their chi and their, energies into this.
Chi?
Yeah,
You sound like the
energies
monk I
of God.
travel with. Chi.
Oh, you travel with a monk. You know which
Yeah.
monastery it's from?
I don't know, never asked. If I did, I forgot.
I don't believe you've ever asked, or I don't think Valier's ever actually said.
No.
He does some wind magic stuff. He's very fast. He's a little snooty, but he seems to be a good guy. Very very
There are many.
hot coacher, you know.
I see. Yes. Yeah, there are many, of course, monastic traditions, but many do focus on the different ways to channel the one's internal, energy into some sort of boon or striking abilities. Ours our order is, connected to the mother, and therefore, as the order says, is focused on channeling death's embrace.
Well, I have similar abilities, as you could see, and I had always assumed that it was just because of my strength of connection to the mother. I didn't have to train. I just did it one day.
Well, that does sound like a form of being chosen.
Well, at least somebody agrees with me. All right, that's all I really wanted to or know about that. I am special. Got it. Now I'm trusting you with this, Rory. I'm trusting you with this. Have you ever seen a book similar to this? And I'm going to pull out the holy book that I have that I signed my name to, but I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to show it to him. I've seen dozens of different scriptures and churches' versions of books, but never quite one like this.
He looks over it. No, I can't say that I have. It's certainly old. I can tell you that. From here, leather working on it alone is probably a couple centuries.
That was my best assumption. It seems to have had many previous owners. Oh, all right. Now the big question. The big question. And I'll say it kind of in a hushed, like, don't want everybody around us to hear. Have you ever heard the name Singal? See his face light up. Looking at the fucking references.
You see, he kind of thinks about it first, a little over a minute, just kind of racking his brain. I've heard the surname before.
Specifically foreign.
Give me an insight check.
13.
I mean, even with his, his demeanor, he's hard to read. He's a very stoic individual. You can tell he does have a general, like, there's a recognition of the name, like the last name, but you don't read that, like, you don't read any, like, face twitch or recognition when you mention the first name. So it's kind of like he's definitely has, like, he's heard the name and he's trying to, like, place where, but like the name, it's the full name itself isn't, like, ringing any bell that you can read off of it.
Gotcha.
I'd have to check some of my notes, but yeah, that's the surname is definitely familiar. I haven't heard it in quite some time, honestly. Just off the top of my head.
Well, if you've heard of it before, I would greatly appreciate you looking into that for me because it seems to be a very hard person to find. And I believe that the mother herself is trying to get me to find him. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird request, I know.
Well, if it's a direct request from the mother, it is definitely worth looking into. Yeah, don't. It might take me some time. Again, I'm not sure where I know the name from. I might have to do some deep dive into some of my old notes and some texts, but I'll take a look.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Is there anything you want to know about me? I feel kind of awkward storming into a place and just casting a spell and then interrogating you.
Don't worry, you wouldn't be the first. No, it's honestly, again, anything you want to tell you. I know you said you were from, you had a church in Vertrag, right?
Yes, Morend specifically.
I'm not familiar, but
which seems to be undergoing problems at the moment via my last visit. I just kind of like hand wave that. I'm not going to get into that.
one's home can often be problematic, and you can understand not wanting to talk about it. It's fine. But so what you said is that what brings you here to Lairden? You said you were searching for this figure, Foran Singal.
That and my general quest to find out more about my connection with the mother. Yes, what like I come here and I see now that you guys can do similar abilities to me, and while I wasn't trained or taught in any of this, I just can do it, I am intrigued to know what you can teach me. My natural affinities aside, I believe I am strong, but I could always be stronger. And I have never met somebody like myself. So, I like this place. I want to like you. And the last people that were similar to me that I met back home tried to kill me. So, you can understand my apprehension.
I can certainly understand that. Well, of course, you're always welcome here, and we can teach you what I know. Kind of looks at you and the armor, the giant hammer on your back. I'm not sure how much of what I can teach you will translate, but you're more than welcome to partake of the knowledge that I have, and if it works for you, it works for you.
Awesome. I'd appreciate that. You also mentioned you're preparing for something that's coming. I may have been hinted at by various parties, one being the mother herself, very recently, that something definitely is coming. I struggle to know what, but I've heard the term grandfather come up more than once, which can't be just a coincidence. Do you know anything referring to that term? Are we the grandchildren? Are the gods the grandchildren? Is the mother the child? I am struggling here to find a connection, and nobody seems to know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I mean, it's a curious term, grandfather. See him ponder it for a minute or so. Well, you've trusted me with things, and I'm again nothing to hide here as well. Um, the term is endearing, is interesting, and part of what we do here in the order is the research of obviously our history, you know, the mother's history, elven history. Um, we've found a strange phenomenon in our world that doesn't quite add up. It's just not quite right.
Phenomenon. Is it reoccurring, or is it just like a blip on the radar where something doesn't sit right? What do you mean?
Well, we know we can trace back through history and written history and even spoken history of how long our world has been around, populated. Um, and for races, humans, and even the dragonborn, the dwarves, some of the gnomish people, they've seen generations. They've seen, in humans' cases, several generations span the last several centuries. We've never met an elvish grandparent.
That is vexing. I don't even know my regular parents, so that never met a grandparent. So you're saying that there is no third generation elves, or the grandparents never live long enough to see the grandchildren?
There's no generation Well, when I say we've never met a grandparent, of course there are some elves that have been married young and had children very quickly. There's no record, there's no living elf that can trace the lineage of a parent, and therefore we've there's plenty of elves that have been alive for centuries. I myself have been alive for a few centuries, and my parents before me. And though my parents speak of having had parents, they were not around. But the timeline doesn't add up to when the world was presumably started.
That is odd. That is very odd. Huh. I had never met an elf and thought to question about their grandparents, never mind parents. Huh. So you're saying that the parents have memories of their grandparents and stuff from way back when they shouldn't have, because technically they shouldn't have existed yet, or then.
See, that becomes the interesting question. Which one is correct? Is the world much older than it was that we're led to believe, or that history says? Did this generation actually exist? Did we know that the gods created humans and elves and the other races, but how did that creation occur? Did people just start to be and were already fully grown and able to then reproduce? It's a very chicken or the egg conversation. And it's one that has led to many, many more questions and answers at this point.
I've only thought on it briefly, but I had always considered us as literal children of the mother. Whether or not we were born of a mother and a father, I I cannot say, but I had always believed that the original generation was quite literally birthed from the mother when she still walked this plane. So that would mean implying that the grandfather would be another deity that birthed us from the mother, or it's just every time I think about this, there's more questions. There's so many questions. Is it
I've been
art?
doing this for centuries.
Well, I am a child in your eyes. I can't really speak to having centuries of knowledge, but I am willing to learn. I am seeking the knowledge. Be very interested to see whatever you're researching, as our goals are similar, and I believe that something is definitely coming, and somebody somewhere has to have the insight. And right now, you're the closest thing I have to it.
I'll certainly teach you what I can. Feel free to ask questions. We can take you to one of our libraries if you want to research some scrolls or any particular information you're looking for. You're always welcome here, brother.
Thank you. Would I have some companions, also elves, and a couple non-elves. Are non-elves allowed here?
Of course.
Just checking. I would like assistance researching, and if you would be willing to open your doors to my, I guess you would call them party, my companions. I know one or two that would be more than thrilled to be going through books with me.
Whenever you, yeah, please go ahead. Regroup with your friends, and we'll be here.
awesome, Roy. Thank you. I'll get up from the table, shake his hand. Do you mind if I grab a bite to eat on the way out?
Please. Easy enough. Rory asks you, you sit, you have a little bit of lunch, you chat a little bit more about the mother, and just, he goes not super deep dive because obviously this is kind of like surface level stuff, but kind of just giving you a little bit of his experience. But you have a nice meal before you go back to meet up with the party. Where are you going?
I am headed back towards the Our Lady of Sorrow.
So the rest of you all meet up back at Lenny's.
Yes.
What is your next plan to find Middeath?
Well, honestly, since we're not leaving now, we're gonna come back to do more pool action tomorrow. I say fuck it. I'm not gonna try to find him.
All right. So where are you guys going then?
Guess back to the Soggy Sahagwin.
I'm good
Should
with
we
that.
read from there?
Like what time of the day is it currently?
After everything you guys have done is probably pushing mid-afternoon.
Ugh. I'm just gonna walk around very quietly.
I'm just
Gonna pace.
Well,
Yeah,
meander about town.
Yep.
I think we just. I say we just walk around and see if anything catches our eye.
I am good with that.
Yeah. More interesting
That works.
places.
Try to kill like a couple hours.
You can all give me perception or investigation checks. Depending on your
I want to find something really cool that Vinteth missed, so I'm gonna look really hard.
You found the fourth church of Sorenlit. The blood church.
And in fact, I'm going to enhance my ability to look for things because of how petty I am. All right, first one's good enough.
I'm rolling hot today at 10 now. With a +5 modifier.
Yes,
So,
that's going to be a good old 23. See me looking around like a madman. Any
yeah,
cool shops or anything like that? Just like whatever's around.
I was just like, look at this thing. Isn't it rad?
Cool. Vinteth, can you just roll a d20 for me?
Sure. 11.
Cool. So, the rest of the party, you guys kind of start wandering your way around town. Looking around here, around where Lenny's is to start. It's kind of like the market area. Trying to think what would jump out at you. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to top Lenny's in the center of town. There's obviously like a marketplace that has different like foods and which actually would jump out to probably you, Revy, because I think it's been like you've been in Falthair for a while now, but like the first time you were here in Glairdan, you guys kind of came in hot, got a place to stay, found a forge, and then like left the next day. So you really haven't done a lot of like actual like shopping.
Yeah.
I think it finally kind of dawns on you, and as you're looking, like taking a second to like breathe in and like walk around this marketplace, you're starting to see, foods and different vegetables that are like native to Falthere, things that you haven't had in God knows how long because of how long you've been gone and just walking around for Trag and these things that just don't grow there. So I think that's food is probably the first thing that jumps out at you of like
Okay.
that nostalgia moment of like, ooh, like
Yeah.
wow,
Now
I had one of those in a long
I'll go
time.
grab some good stuff.
Yeah. Um, think probably about an hour or so. You guys just wandering. There's a couple shops that you pass the tailors again. That Valir and Seven point out like, oh yeah, this is where Seven got his nice tailored suit. Um,
They're so friendly and helpful. Good selection.
about maybe an hour or so of you guys just kind of wandering, going shop to shop. Um, Revi, you notice kind of making his way back in through like the northern part of town, heading southward towards like that where where the Sacred Heart of Soren Lin is, or the Bleeding Heart of Soren Lin. You see Vinteth kind of making his way through the crowd, not really paying attention, just walking with the purpose that Vinteth does.
Look at that. I knew we didn't need to look for him.
And yell out like Chunk to just like, hey you guys, but hey you Vinteth.
Oh, mother, please. Hello, Seven.
Found him.
Good job, Seven.
I don't
It
know
helps.
where you were all day, but we had a wonderful time with Tress and the pool.
You went into the pools?
Well,
I
the
did.
elves amongst us went into one each, respectively, but yes. Yes, we did.
I'm both amazed and appalled, but how did you find your communion?
Comforting, but otherwise unmemorable.
Expected. Turn to Valir. And you?
Interesting. To say the least. I found that my crossroads is a lot stronger than I thought it was. But other than that, I didn't really get much direct answers of anything.
But you had something happen.
Yes.
I look forward to hearing more about it later. Suji,
Yep.
I'll take that as a no. Got it. Expected.
Yeah, they didn't really explain stuff too well. And I usually don't exactly listen to you. So if you mention anything about the pool, either way, I was the guinea pig for it, even though, and I say under my breath, even though I 1 second. And yeah, then maybe it'll go better next time.
Let me hazard a guess here. You cast water breathing on yourself, didn't you?
Why would you even think I have that ability? I've never used it once.
I'm just gonna assume.
Well, yeah, I did.
See, I had the thought because I was nervous going into the pool, and I was like, no, the mother will protect me. That's where you're lacking.
I don't know. You always talk about betrayal and the mother's betrayal. Wow. Yeah, I don't want to be betrayed.
Well, I hope you've learned a valuable lesson. Between this
Yes.
and not smashing the bulldog eggs, listen to me when I have something to say.
Whoa, not smashing the bullywog eggs. I think Robbie has something to say about that.
As you all regather in the middle of town, screaming about smashing bullywog eggs, that's where we will pick up in person on Saturday.
Hey,
Alright.
perfect. All right, guys. I'm
All
super
right.
beat. I'm
All
off.
right, later.
See ya.
Good night.
See ya.
Yeah, good night. I'm just gonna
See you
quick end the
Saturday.
stream. I'll probably try and like audio record and then cut it down for YouTube or whatever, but no
Stream
actual
ain't
stream
good
for the
shit.
live thing.
Yeah,
Good night.
makes sense.
Good night.
Night.